Welcome to Dualshock'd, the Brotherhood of Geeks PlayStation podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brett J. Rasmussen, and over there, I got my other co-hosts.
Yeah, it's Spectre.
And over there, I got my other co-host,
Guru Blaze.
Yeah! This is episode 61 of Dualshock'd. Woo! How you guys doing, guys?
Not bad. I just ate, so there's that.
Nice. What'd you eat?
Chili.
I like chili. Chili's good.
With red pepper oyster crackers.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. How you doing over there, Spectre?
I am farming herbs in World of Warcraft right now.
You're farming herbs in a WoW.
So you have an herbalist class then, or what?
I went to gathering skills. I went mining and herbalism to maximize gold. So
Understood. So it's like a character for making money.
Pretty much. Well, it's my main character, but I'm a rogue, so nobody wants to group with me. So I have to kind of buy my way into groups and stuff. So
Understood.
But that's fine. I want a PvP anyways. That's all I really care about. So I don't care if people don't want to group with me.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Very nice. So what have you guys been playing? I'll start with Guru Blaze. What have you been playing?
I just recently started playing Kingdom of Amalur: Re-Reckoning.
Yeah. Oh man, I love it.
Because I got it free a while back and I had never played it, but I'd heard about it. And I'm actually, it's simple, but I'm finding myself having a good amount of fun with it. Like, kind of like a combination of like Soulsy combat mixed with Gauntlet and some Fable and Elder Scrolls thrown in for how like the mechanics of your menus and stuff work.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's kind of like the same fun I had playing WoW, but single player, and the combat's better. And it has a stealth mode, and you can do stealth kills, which if a game has that, it's hard to disappoint me. So
that's rad. No, yeah, I very much praise Kingdoms of Amalur. I think last month or so I finally platinumed that game. And 100% it. So, yes, took me 100.
Well, I think don't you have to 100% it to get platinum?
No, because they added the Fatesworn DLC. So,
and then I've also been playing through Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition because I got it cheap because I'd beaten the original long ago, but I picked it up for like $5 on the store because I love Sleeping Dogs. It's like GTA but with actual combat.
Nice. Did you just start Kingdoms or no?
I've been playing it for the last 2 days.
Okay.
And then there was like a chest full of like a bunch of rare gear, like a shit ton of rare gear. So I've been steamrolling for a bit now.
Yeah.
But it still does have an aspect of challenge. I've gotten close to dying a couple times, but
yeah,
it's pretty fun.
There will come a time where you will just like run through guys. There will come a time where it's like you have now like jumped the threshold and now you're just like, I have all of this power and I'm just godly.
Yeah.
So, are you playing on the hardest difficulty? I don't know if you're a trophy hunter.
I'm just playing on normal because I hadn't played it before.
Okay. I don't know.
If it keeps being as relatively easy as it is for a long enough period, I might just bump up the difficulty just to challenge myself a little bit more.
I'm not entirely sure if the trophy will pop if you switch the difficulty in somewhat midway through the game or whatever. So if you care about trophies, that is something to be worried about. So, but yeah, how about you, Spectre? What have you been playing?
Well, World of Warcraft. But aside from that, I mean, of course, I always go back to my mainstays of World of Warships and stuff like that. In terms of the next like single player game I'll probably check out, I did download God of War 2018 for Steam, so I will be checking out the PC version or the definitive version of it now.
Nice.
I guess so. I will be trying that out pretty soon here.
Nice. For me, of course, just playing Destiny 2, just on and off, but I've been playing through Pokemon Arceus. I'm sorry, Pokemon Legends Arceus. Really,
the one where you shoot Pokemon?
I'm sorry?
Is that the one where you shoot Pokemon?
You don't shoot them, but what you can do it's really weird, but I really like it. Is that you can just straight up and down catch Pokemon. So you like have to aim, like you are shooting them, like you have to aim at the Pokemon and you have to throw
Oh,
a
okay. Because
Pokeball.
I saw a fan made game where you literally have like guns and you shoot Pokemon.
No.
That must have been a different game.
So what's the premise of that? You're like, is it just like a normal Pokemon game?
No, it's completely different. It's like it has this like Breath of the Wild feel to it. Pretty much this game takes place like years and years and years and years before like even Red and Blue, like the very first Pokemon games. Like the Pokeballs aren't like they're like the first made Pokeballs. People who it is rare to have have someone who owns like a Pokemon is like their owner, like you're a Pokemon trainer. That is very much not the norm.
So it's like the historic origin of Pokemon.
Prequel type of thing.
Yeah, like it, and it's really.
I tangentially know about like in one of the games there was the like in the very beginning of Pokemon World history there was like XY who was like some dude who was like the first person to like train a Pokemon, and then there's like this whole back theory where Pokemon actually like evolve, like human beings are actually just hyper evolved Pokemon.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I've been playing through that. I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, which is like just Yu-Gi-Oh's version. Like it is straight up and down Yu-Gi-Oh, but it has like a card system.
Better slow down before all the panties in the crowd drop with all this stuff you're playing.
Hey, I do want to try Master Duel as well too. I was actually I asked you actually, Brett, for like a meta deck or like something that's actually fun to play.
Oh yes. I'm sorry, I've been busy. I will after the show I will let you know. But yeah, and Master Duel is actually really fun. Does
it function like an actual game?
Yeah, like
of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Of Yu-Gi-Oh, yeah. And like the cool thing is that like the format, the meta, like the format of it, the meta is totally different than the real life TCG. Like it's totally different, and I actually prefer it over current TCG. Now, mind you, we just got a ban list this February, so the whole meta in the TCG is gonna shift. But I'm having a blast playing Master Duel. I'm playing like old like Gladiator Beasts. But with like new updated cards and stuff like that. But like I'm playing one of my favorite archetypes from like forever ago, Gladiator Beast. I'm playing that. I'm playing True Dracos. You can play like it's great fun. I'm not it's great fun. It's free to play and stuff like that, and it gives you there's like gems you get, which is the virtual currency and stuff. But you get tons.
My last point, like how free to play is it? Like, I mean, have you put any money into it?
No, I have not. I have not spent a penny in that game, and I have been able to build two decks that I wanted to play.
Nice. Okay, so it doesn't like first giver
no
cash.
No, and if you have PlayStation Plus, you get like 50 free packs.
Jesus.
Like if you go to the PlayStation Store, you can just download it. It's free, and you get 50 free packs, so it's great. But yeah, that's what I've been playing, and we have a bunch of other games coming out later. But with all that said, let's go ahead and begin with what we always begin with: news of the nation.
I just love how every time you shout, it just cuts out your audio on my end. I think the microphone just can't even handle it.
Wow. Okay, that's...
No, it's fine. It shows your excitement. I'm just saying it's what happens.
Yeah. So we this episode of Dualshock'd, we have a lot to cover. We're going to try to speed through this news of the nation because we have a ton to cover in our PlayStation conversation. So let's begin. The first things first is that PlayStation just announced, so we are recording January 31st of 2022, but there will be a state of play on February 2nd, 2022, so that would be this coming Wednesday. And pretty much this state of play will go live at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 11 CET, so like overseas in Europe. And pretty much this state of play is going to be focused on Gran Turismo 7, the new Gran Turismo game that's coming out in, I believe, March. It's going to be 30 minutes of new PS5 footage and gameplay details of Gran Turismo 7. And, of course, this link is coming from the PlayStation blog. Of course, we always source everything we talk about in the description, so if you want to follow along with us, go ahead and go to the description. All the links are down in the description. Are you guys looking forward to Gran Turismo?
No.
No.
I mean, I'm indifferent about it. Like, I'm sure it's going to look fantastic, they usually do.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, I mean, my roommate's super into racing games, so I'll no doubt hear about it. But I've always, if I had to pick, I've always been more of a Horizon guy. Just because I like more arcadey controls when I'm going to play a racing game. A little, like, it doesn't have to be like Mario Kart necessarily, but I'm not playing a racing game for pure simulation because I'm not that into cars.
Yeah, this is PlayStation's. I mean, this is Gran Turismo has been around since the PS1. Like, it's crazy. So, but yeah, we'll see how good it is. But yeah, I'll be doing my reactions to this state of play, so yeah, stay tuned for that. So yeah, let's move on. Next topic is that the free games for PlayStation Plus for February of 2022 have been announced. So the free games that we get for February of 2022 are EA Sports UFC 4, Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, a Wonderland's one-shot adventure, and Planet Coaster Console Edition. Planet Coaster will be the PS5 free game. Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep and UFC 4 are PS4 free downloads, but also backwards compatible to the PS5 there. Now, I do want to go ahead and quickly talk about this one thing. Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, a Wonderland's one-shot adventure, is a DLC separation. So pretty much, like, this was DLC made for Borderlands 2 when it first came out, and now they pretty much separated it from the game. You could buy this by itself, or I believe it's like somewhere between $10 to $20 on the PlayStation Store. Now you get it for free because it's part of PlayStation Plus. But this is just straight up and down DLC. You could buy.
You know what they need to do that with is fucking Blood Dragon, because I've been waiting to play Far Cry Blood Dragon forever, and they need to release it as a standalone. And I don't know why they don't.
I mean, I believe,
unless I'm not aware of it and it's available, because I feel like the only time I knew of how to get it was that compilation of 2, 3. And Blood Dragon that came out for 360 and PS3.
I think that if you get Far Cry 3 Classic Edition, you do get it. I'm going to quickly look up. But, Spectre, what do you kind of think about these free games while I kind of look at this? What do you think about, like, the free games? Or can you hear me?
His audio's cut out on my end, too.
Is it still cutting out? Okay, can you hear me now?
You're good.
Yeah.
Okay,
we
good.
can hear
There we go.
now. There we are. There you go. So,
perfect.
But I will say UFC 4 I'll probably get because I do like fighting games, and that's essentially what that is. But the other two, I could take or leave.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty weak month. I mean, it's just kind of
It just bums me out when they only release like 2 VR games for a month when I don't have a VR, and it's just like, what do you want me to do with this?
Yeah,
they should at least have one of each, if not, just 2 regular ones, because I think that the amount of people who own a PSVR is far lower than those who don't.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I love my.
And yeah, it's
PSVR.
fun. I'm just saying, like, statistically, there's no way that many people have it. Why would you put for an entire month? All you have access to is 2 VR games. So if I don't have that, I can't even use them.
I mean that Planet Coaster game kind of looks neat. I love like.
Is that like Roller Coaster Tycoon or something?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I think it is, right? Yeah. So I mean, hey, that sounds interesting. I mean, yeah, UFC. I mean. Yeah, that's going to be polarizing because either you're going to love UFC or you're not. And then the Tiny Tina thing, I mean, I'm not a Borderlands guy really, but I mean, yeah, it just seems kind of a weird choice. I mean, but not like an unprecedented choice. I mean, they've kind of done this before, right? I mean, they had like what was that called? The Saints Row 4, like the Get Out of Hell thing. That was a PS Plus game, right?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So, I mean, this isn't like unprecedented, but yeah, it just seems like a kind of an odd choice. I mean, I guess it does kind of fit with the new Borderlands game that's coming out. So maybe
Tiny Tina. It's just like it would be. I'm not entirely sure if years ago. I think we got Borderlands 2 Handsome Collection, maybe years ago for free on Plus. But like, I would rather you get Borderlands 2 Handsome Collection, and then in the PlayStation blog, like the emphasis is on the Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, instead of this like $10 DLC. So a $10 to $20 DLC. So, because I know that a lot of people are upset about like this month's PlayStation Plus lineup for February. I mean,
because it's ass.
No, I mean no. That this is just DLC. This is good. Like this DLC is good, but you can spend $20.
Is it like actual play like Borderlands, or is it like one of?
No, it plays like Borderlands.
So it's an FPS.
Mm-hmm. Like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is a full game version of this, and like with expanded, with much more RPG elements and da. This was.
We all know how much Brett wants to expand Tiny Tina.
Whoa.
Phrasing. Anyway, but yeah, I do get. I just think it would be better off if you got Borderlands 2, because you can buy Borderlands 2 Handsome Collection for like $20. So like,
man, I remember getting. I still have the Handsome Collection that went on a while back, and I still have that.
Yeah, so you can play.
He has the pre-sequel and then 2 and
all the DLC, all of it.
Yeah.
So you get this in the Handsome Collection. So, but anyway, if you do have Plus, always just add them to your library. You can always come back to them as long as you have PlayStation Plus active. You can always download these games. So even if you don't plan on playing them right now, just add them to your library. You can go back to them whenever you want. Even the PS5 games, if you don't have a PS5, still add them to your library. So that way, when you do, you can just go ahead and download it and play them.
And you can delete them, and it'll save your save data too. So if you need to make space, you won't lose out on progress, which I think is definitely worth noting.
Exactly.
Especially because games are so freaking big now. It's honestly ridiculous.
Yeah.
Dude, I do not. I mean, just as a side note, and I'm not trying to tangent, but like all I'm going to say is I cannot understand Warzone and people who play that anymore. That game is 200 plus gigs and grows all the time. It's like, dude, you are literally taking up half of your console for a free online shooter when you could literally have like 5 titles for the same amount of. It's insane how much that cannibalizes memory for what kind of game it is. How is there that much content in that game? It doesn't even seem possible. 200 plus gigs? Are you kidding me? With like 50 gig patches?
I have no
What are you doing to that game?
I have no idea, dude.
You're gonna need like a separate hard drive just for that game.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, and I have 2 external hard drives, and I'm still, I mean, I have space left, but I've had to reallocate every now and again because it's like when I bought my PS4, it was only the 500 gig because that's what was available. They didn't have a terabyte model. And unfortunately, you can't change out the internal, or at least I'm not trying to screw around with that with an older system.
Do you have the sharp-edged PS4?
Yeah.
If you do, you can actually take out the hard drive in there safely. If you have the sharp-edged, like very.
Oh wait, no, I have the round edge.
Okay, that one you can't do it. If you have the original,
see, that's what's bullshit. I'm being discriminated against because I bought a round console.
So yeah, but let's move on. Next topic is that PlayStation has done their 2021 roundup or wrap up. I do have the link for the PlayStation blog in the description, along with the link to the wrap up itself. So pretty much what it is that all of the games and everything that you spent time on PlayStation doing, it is all tracked by your PSN account and stuff like that. It even counts like the games that you added from Plus. So for instance, for myself, for Brett, and if you want, both Spectre and Guru Blaze, the link is also in the notes that I pulled
mine up. I have mine too.
Awesome. So yeah, Guru Blaze, you can also do the same thing. It would
Yeah, I mean, because I just clicked on it, but then it's asking me to log in.
Yeah, you would log
Yeah, you
into
gotta
your
log in,
PSN.
yeah.
Yep, you would have to log into your PSN.
And what is it doing exactly?
So
It's like summarizing your play experience for 2020.
So I'll use myself for an example. So for myself, they do an hour breakdown of time spent on your PS4 and PS5. So I've spent 49 hours on my PS5, 917 hours on my PS4, and so
Why does that not surprise me?
It go in like, so our hours played locally 772, that's 80%. Hours played online 194. Total days played 285. Also counts the number of hours played on my VR, which is 0. So I love my VR, but I haven't spent time with that. I do hope to change that. It also tracks the number of different games you played. So for me, I played 19 different games in 2021. And then it also counts your top 5 games that you have played in the amount of hours. So for me, it was Destiny 2, because that's kind of the game I played just to turn my brain off and stuff. So when I'm listening to podcasts and stuff like that, I played Destiny 2 for 740 hours out of all the time I played. Then it was Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning for almost 50 hours, so it was 49 hours. Then Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy. I spent 32 hours in that because I was going for the platinum. 29 hours in Psychonauts 2, and 26 hours in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
I can't remember my password right now, so I'm not going to be able to sign.
I guess I'll do mine then.
That's fine.
So I had about 312 hours, which seems low, but I mean, this was the year I retired my PlayStation. I got rid of my PlayStation, so kind of makes sense. Bulk of that, of course, was on a PlayStation 4.
Yep.
Let's see. I played a total of 51 different games. My most hours spent was in Final Fantasy X HD. It was 101 hours because I went for that and I played the hell out of that. 48 hours in Mass Effect. I did the entire first game platinum.
Yep.
World of Warships, of course, like I said, I keep going back to that. I had 30 hours in that. I did do Battlefield 5 when it was free because I refused to purchase the game, but I got it for free with Plus or free. So I did 29 hours in that, and then Final Fantasy 9. That was actually my girlfriend was playing that, so that's 22 hours she played for that.
It also counts your trophies, the number of different trophies you got.
So yeah, I had a lot of trophies here.
Yeah.
So about 1,000 trophies, a little over 1,000 trophies.
You've done way better than me.
A lot of easy platinums. I think I got let's see if this is accurate. 51 platinums here. A lot of easy platinums in there. Let's see anything else interesting on here. Yeah, that's about it.
You able to access it from the PlayStation app?
No, like I mean, you can, like, if you like on the PlayStation app on your phone.
Yeah,
it notifies.
I mean, I'm signed in on there.
It notifies you, but then when you so like under the notifications, if you press the notifications, you'll see that, hey, there's your wrap up, and then learn or like find out what you did. It'll have you go to a link, and then it will open up. You may have to log in, you may not have to. I'm not entirely sure.
It's making me log in. I swear every time I have to sign in, I have to change my password because for whatever reason, I have a mental block about remembering
I'm the same way. I usually just have like 2 or 3 passwords. It's the only way I can use
right, and that's the thing. It's like it should be. I figured it would be one of the ones that I put in, but I just don't know. I so rarely ever actually have to sign into it because I'm only ever using my console and it's automatic.
Yeah. So for me, just to wrap this up, for me, Spectre, you got way more trophies than me, but for me, I got 357, 7 platinums, 32 gold, 46 silver, 272. So it also breaks it down by percentage. And then at the very end, by signing in, you get a free avatar set, which is really nice.
Well, that's why I'm going to just reset my password right now because...
Yep, and it also counts the number of PlayStation Plus games that were for free on Plus in the year of 2021, which were 37, which I got all 37 of them. So there you go. So yes, as I said, all the sources are in the description below, and there's also the link to the wrap up itself. So if you haven't done the wrap up yourself, go ahead and press the link in the description and do it yourself. And we would love to hear like the different stats that you guys have had, how many trophies, what's the game that you spend the most time in, all of that kind of stuff. We would love to hear that from you guys.
This is my final wrap up. It really will be the last one I have.
I'm not playing PlayStation. No,
it's over. It's all over.
Just two more things to add to this. They're really small, really short. But also PlayStation has added the ability to auto capture to mobile. So if you take pictures on your pretty much you are able to transfer images that you take on your PS4, PS5. You would be able to transfer them to your phone instead of kind of doing this weird workaround if you wanted that. So it's much easier to like, oh, look, I did this really cool thing in this game. I want to save this and blah, blah, make it my background or da-da-da-da-da. You have that. And then also, as of today of recording, so January 31st, 2022, PlayStation announced that you can now link your Discord to your PlayStation account also.
Yeah, actually, when I logged in, there was a pop-up.
Yep.
To do that.
Yep. So now, you can link your PSN account to your Discord, which is really, really nice.
Well, for some reason it said it sent the email, and I'm not getting my reset password email.
Huh.
So I have no idea what's going on here.
You're on that quest now to reset your password.
Well, usually it pops right up, and I got my right email in there, but apparently Sony wants to jerk me around right now.
I can help you with that after the show if you want Google Plays. But we will move on.
No, yeah, you're
jerk around.
Shut up, Spectre. Anyway, let's move on. Next topic is that Activision will not voluntarily recognize Raven Software as a union. So this is coming from Polygon and IGN. Let me pull up the article. This is from IGN. Members of this Raven Software QA team alongside other Activision Blizzard workers have called off the strike action. The news follows from Friday's announcement, so this article went live on January 25th. Which confirmed...
There we go. Jesus. Sorry.
You're
I literally
fine.
had to refresh and do the page 3 separate times before I got the email.
Sometimes it takes a little bit. The decision to end the strike action was announced on social media by Activision Blizzard Workers Alliance Twitter account. Pending the recognition of our union, the Raven QA strike has ended. Read a statement of the account, which then went on to thank the community for its support, and there is a Twitter saying the same thing. The group highlighted that it was waiting for positive or negative recognition of the union from Activision Blizzard, but that it was, quote, acting in good faith and asking for good faith by ending the strike. The group also pointed out that remaining money from Strike Movement's crowdfunding campaign will be stored and used in any further unionization or strike efforts. Following the group's request to voluntary recognition from leadership last week, Activision Blizzard issued an extended statement to IGN regarding the union, saying that the company is, quote, carefully reviewing the request and that it, quote, deeply respects the rights of all employees under the law to make their own decisions about whether or not to join a union. And then it talks about the strike. And then it also got updated. So update on the 25th, so that's when the update happened. Activision will not voluntarily recognize Raven Software's union led by the QA workers. So pretty much the end of the strike, so that way they could be like, hey, we want to do this. Then on the 25th of January, it states, Activision will not voluntarily recognize Raven Software's union led by QA workers, stating that, quote, all employees at Raven should have a say in this decision. The full statement sent to IGN below. Blah, blah, blah. We're cut on time, so I normally I would, but please.
I'll give you my rundown, though, because I logged in now.
Oh, you want to? Okay, so
it'll take. So I got 181 total hours, and 9 online because I never play online. 119 days worth, and then I played 37 different games. And number 1 is 32 hours in Witcher, and then Dark Souls, Ghost of Tsushima, Tekken, and Control.
Okay, very nice.
And 85 trophies.
Nice.
So there we go.
Nice. There you go. All right. So yes, I'll try to quickly go through this. The full statement from IGN, sent to IGN from Activision, states, quote, "At Activision Blizzard, we deeply respect the rights of all employees to make their own decisions about whether or not to join a union. We carefully reviewed and considered the CWA initial request last week and tried to find a mutually acceptable
Mutually.
You mean mutually?
Mutually, yes. I meant
mutually.
I don't know why. My
It's how I'm going to say it for the rest of my life now.
Mutually acceptable solution with the CWA that would have led to an expedited election process. Unfortunately, the parties could not reach an agreement."
Are you having a stroke, Brett? Are you okay?
Hey, yo!
Halfway through reading that, yeah, he did.
So yeah, so pretty much it goes into much detail. Please follow the links in description to follow the source. So Spectre, I know you have a lot to say on this. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just surprised that there is actually like a quality. I mean, this is a quality assurance department that was like trying to unionize or whatever. I'm surprised that there is quality assurance in modern video games anymore. So that was the most surprising part of this entire thing.
Jesus.
But assuming that there is, yeah, I don't know. I have a probably not so popular opinion of unions, and I mean, it depends on what circles you travel in, I guess. But I think they can kind of be a scam. They're a way for a fat guy to get a check and everyone else to kick and dues. But I mean, obviously, if people want to organize, I mean, that's their right. I mean, they can do it as they want to. I don't know if it's the best strategy. And right now, with everything that's going on with that company, and they're being bought out by Microsoft, of course, which is what we're going to be getting to eventually here.
Yep.
Who knows how that's all going to play out? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about the situation. I just think it's kind of surprising. The other thing about QA types too is like they really it's like the tester like people for the game. So I mean, usually they're kind of like a lower paid segment. Like they're paid basically nothing. So it's just kind of interesting that they're looking to do this and everything. Is that kind of the motivation behind it? So I don't know. I don't know enough about it to really make like a deep sweeping review of it. But yeah, I just in general I see unions largely as kind of a grift. I mean, that's not to say that corporations should have complete carte blanche. You keep them in check in other ways. But yeah, I think unions are usually, in general, not always, but in general, more harm than good to the average worker.
Guru Blaze, what do you think?
You mean just on the idea of like how they're approaching it?
Well, yeah, because like Raven Software wanted to, is pretty much trying to be like, we want a union to protect the developers and stuff like that. But Activision Blizzard is saying that no, we do not recognize that. You have a right to your decision, but we will not recognize it if that is the case.
I think that any greedy CEO is never going to want to recognize anything that'll affect the bottom line. Is basically, I mean, even in my job where I work, like even some just with some of the stuff I got to deal with, like the idea of like going on strike has like been talked about between me and my two like floor workers, because there's only 6 total people that I work with, and 3 of us do all the work for someone who basically gets a huge salary to do virtually nothing. I completely support if they're not trying to take advantage of it, as far as like the people going on like that want to go on strike. I think that it's honestly just like pretty ridiculous that they could just say, oh, we don't recognize that you're. Ultimately, it's like those are the people that are going to, I mean, as long as what they do is a valued part of the company, and like they hold the power to do that. If they're not being treated fairly, when some fat cat wants to just basically take credit and money for the actual work being done that they have literally nothing to do with themselves, then I'm 100% behind workers wanting to unite and tell them to fuck off.
Yeah.
Or just leave. Be like, what are you gonna do it? Because I doubt it. Like, that's the point.
No, I agree. I
mean, we wouldn't even have 8-hour work days if there wasn't for unions.
Yeah, I mean, like, for me, I do support unions. I am, like, for me, with what I do, you know, what I've been trained in, I am a trained actor from the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, and, like, I'm very much a lot of my colleagues are part of AFTRA or SAG, like, unions, and it's there to protect the workers,
the interest of the worker.
Exactly,
because we're the ones that do everything.
And so I see it, like I said, I have a different opinion. I see it largely as a grift. It's a great way to make money for a union head, and to shake people down. And to
it can be used to a shitty degree, absolutely. But I think that in principle, like, if it's genuinely for better treatment, then there's no argument that can be made against it that makes any sense. Because what are you going to say?
I think that I should clarify too. I think the distinction is between private unions and public unions. Those are the big.
I'm all for a public union where it's literally just to make a change. But if someone is actually like, it basically becomes the same exact problem they're fighting against.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they're putting the money into somebody else's pocket instead of whoever they're deciding is the enemy. So it ultimately is just like it pretty much equates to the same problem. Exactly. Because it comes down to just someone being too greedy, and that's basically all it ever comes down to.
Yeah, no, I agree there. Any last words before we move on?
No, I think that about covers it.
Okay. Anything from you, Guru?
No, I spoke my piece.
Alrighty, let's move on. Next topic is that both Horizon Forbidden West and Elden Ring has now gone gold. So there is a blog post from PlayStation, from the PlayStation blog. Pretty much they put up a trailer showing what Horizon Forbidden West will look like on the PS4. Along with that, all these come, and then for Elden Ring, excuse me. For Elden Ring, I have an article from IGN saying, like, hey, it has gone gold. Pretty much, it's ready to go. It pretty much needs to get printed. Game is finished developing. It pretty much just needs to be made, made in mass production and all that kind of stuff. Also, just to kind of go with this, is that the amount of hours it will take to finish Elden Ring will take about 30 hours, but there are dozens of hours of side content. So they wanted to make this a bit. They wanted to approach this to be a bit more casual friendly, I guess you could say. But there's tons
approachable,
I guess. Yeah, I'm so good at this. Yay me!
Yeah. Well, I remember even reading an article about how Miyazaki doesn't even play Dark Souls and doesn't even really enjoy playing his own games because it's just. He didn't make them for himself to have fun with. It was more of an emotional thing for him when he was in creating it. And with Elden Ring, it's like you want the difficulty is a part of the nature of those series, but he also he doesn't want people to just be frustrated and irritated just playing through it. Whereas and again, I'm still playing through the Dark Souls 1 remaster because I'd never beaten it originally.
Yeah.
And I have 3 and I've never touched it.
Yeah.
And I'm still playing through Sekiro. It's like they're all amazing games, but it's like every now and again you're just like, man, this is just like beyond ridiculous. Like some of the stuff that you got to try to just do over and over just because, you know what I mean? And again, it is part of it. I'm not saying you can't get good because you can, but it's like when it ceases to be fun, then it becomes a huge problem because that's literally what games are for.
Yeah.
So
and then so both of these where it's going to take 30 hours and then there's more side content, and that Elden Ring has been designed to reduce player stress without reducing enemy difficulty.
Yeah, that's what I was basically trying to say.
Yeah. So both of these happened at an interview during the Taipei game show. Pretty much, I'll just say this quote and then we'll move on. Quote, with the game's world being so large, that can produce real depth and breadth of enjoyment, but it can also lead to unnecessary stress for some players. The dev team has been very careful to avoid that when possible. With Battle Ready being fairly difficult, I can understand wanting to reduce stress elsewhere. Yes, especially as the enemies are so strong. That's the end quote. With that in mind, it seems like Elden Ring's enemies and bosses will be tough, as you would hope from a Soulsborne game. But Kaito, who is the game director, he is planning to he's making clear that changes have been made to make it easier for people to play it. So people who don't like that kind of difficulty. I know you, Spectre, do not like the Soulsborne games because of that. Right? Or
I like them because they have amazing combat systems and their mechanics are awesome.
I'm sorry, Hashihiro Kaito is actually the producer. I'm sorry, not the game director. He is the producer.
Yeah,
one of the producers.
Where do you get your license?
Shut up. Anyway. Isn't that kind of one of the reasons why you're not a fan of those like Soulsborne games?
No, it's not because of the difficulty. It was more so the I guess the frustrating design of it. Really, the the cheap deaths, the long stretches between save points, things like that. That's what really frustrated me. Like, it's worth noting too that I came into the series early on with Demon Souls.
Yeah.
And that really kind of colored my experience of everything. That's really what turned me off to the whole thing. So yeah, to this day, I'm really not a Soulsborne fan. I don't play them. It's not really my thing. I don't judge people differently if they like them or not. It's just not really my thing. But I mean, for me, I can't wait for, now that we've had that sort of confirmed now, I can't wait for From Software to go back and revisit their Armored Core series, which is very similar to Dark Souls in some ways. It is kind of a challenging game, but it feels like it's a little bit more fair in some ways. It's about building a mech, and there's a lot of planning that goes into things. So I like that aspect of it. It feels like there's less frustrating parts of that game.
Love to see them do a remake of Tenchu.
Ooh.
And Tenchu, yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, Tenchu's amazing too.
Yeah. And like Sekiro, you could argue is kind of a successor to Tenchu, but it's not quite the same. Like, I just remember playing like when I first played Tenchu 2 when I was like, I don't know, 13. Like, the fact, like, it was just like, it was something I love. I mean, I like ninjas in any case, but it's like, I feel like with all that they've done and all that they have the ability to do now, and no doubt have the resources because, they created a genre.
Yeah.
Like, you say Souls-like as a genre now, which is a huge thing to think about. Like, the fact that is its own type of thing now. I would love to see like a scaled back little bit on the difficulty, like a remake of Tenchu. Just don't have to put a number after it. Just remake it entirely. And I think that with modern like mechanics and graphics, that would be awesome.
That would be rad. Yes, let's move on. Next topic is that Respawn is working on 3 new Star Wars games, including the sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. This also comes from IGN. Just very quickly, EA is EA is far from finished with the Star Wars franchise. The publisher is working on 3 new Star Wars games, which are all being overseen in one form or another by Respawn. The games comprise of a sequel of Jedi Fallen Order, an FPS, and a strategy game. There are no dates or anything like that. So yes. So it's the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, and a first-person shooter, and a strategy game. What do you guys think about that?
I warmed up to Fallen Order, and initially I didn't really care for it so much. I still stand by the fact that the story to that game was, and the characters are kind of lame and garbage, and could have been done much better. But I think the graphics, the gameplay, the world of it was pretty well done. So I would play a sequel to that. So yes, and then a Star Wars FPS, I mean, that can be hit or miss. We've seen some good ones in that department, so I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. What was the third game that you mentioned?
It's a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, a first-person shooter, and a strategy game.
That sounds interesting. As long as it's not a mobile game, I'd be interested in a Star Wars strategy game. I played like Galactic Battlegrounds back in the day, stuff like that. So as long as that's not a mobile title, hopefully none of these are mobile titles, obviously, but
it's all done by Respawn. I don't think so. I don't believe so because Respawn is only in the console or / PC market. I could be wrong. Again, there's not a lot saying it. There's just, EA has come out to say that they're working on 3 different games, along with Quantic Dream is working on a High Republic game, and then Asper is working on the Knights of the Old Republic remake. So we have right now 5 Star Wars games being made right now. Yeah, Guru.
Some of them got to be good. I like those odds. Make 5 games, one of them's got to be good.
Guru Blaze, what do you think?
I mean, I would be excited. I beat Fallen Order. I would play a sequel. I very much enjoyed the experience and how the mechanics were set up. I would agree with you, Spectre, slightly. It is kind of like some of the characters, they're just not that interesting. Because, I mean, and it's I'm not saying that, I could have written a better one necessarily, because they're trying to create something new in the world, because Disney fucked everything up. But
I just don't like how. I mean,
I would love to see a Fallen Order type game with because obviously they're remaking KOTOR, which I love KOTOR, and I would definitely play that. But why not make a Fallen Order game where you play as Revan or a pre-existing expanded universe character?
Using
why create an entirely new story when you literally have years of content to draw off of? It's what are you scared is going to happen when it's obviously been, people want you to take from that. They don't want you to keep making up shit. No one gives a shit about Rey. Who fucking cares? She has no personality. And I just recently finally watched The Rise of Skywalker. And then now I've seen all of them.
Yeah.
And it's okay, it was entertaining to watch, but it's who gives a fuck about any of these people?
If you think about it, if you think about that movie too hard, you just see the plot holes.
It's just there's so many glaring plot holes and flaws. It's all of a sudden, okay, spoiler alert if anyone really even cares, but it's so this whole time, and then all of a sudden she just makes out with Kylo Ren at the end, and it's where the hell did that come from?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
There was no build up to a romantic tension of any kind between them.
I love it that Guru Blaze just went on a massive rant just talking about the sequel trilogy, and it's great.
Well, I'm just saying, I enjoy the movie.
I'm right there with you. You're preaching to the choir here. I'm right there with you.
Hey,
well,
look.
I mean, and again, they're entertaining to watch production-wise. There's still, there's fun aspects to the movies, in a visual sense. I'm not going to argue that. But it's who fucking cares? Honestly, the coolest one was Rogue One, and everyone's dead by the end. And that's only because they had Donnie Yen in it.
I mean, even for me, where I I love Force Awakens. I actually enjoyed The Last Jedi. I fought Spectre.
Force Awakens I liked because it was the first one, so it's there was nothing to expect. So
I even liked The Last Jedi. I didn't hate it as much. I didn't hate Last Jedi as much as a lot of people did. But Rise of Skywalker, that's why I was I take what I said back about Last Jedi. Never mind.
I liked when they were over, when they ended. That was I couldn't stand. I don't really have anything good to say about any of them.
But back to this, I do want to go ahead and point out that so Spectre, you were wondering about the strategy game. The studio that's going to be working on the strategy game is called Bit Reactor, and the guys who work at this is a newly formed studio. The guys who work at Bit Reactor are veterans of XCOM, Civilization, those kind of games. So
I want an XCOM 3. I'm just putting that out there.
So the guys who have worked on XCOM and Civilization made this studio, and it's being worked with Respawn, and they're going to be working on that strategy game. So that's going to be really cool.
Okay, let me just throw this out there. Star Wars meets XCOM.
Ooh, I like that. Well, that
Would
might be the case.
Would you not play that?
That might
if it
be
was
the
as
case.
good as that sounds?
That might be the case, and if it is, I'm in.
Think about it. Like, I mean, all of the abilities you have and all of the things you have that you could gamify in the Star Wars universe, you could make an amazing XCOM style, like, tactical strategy game with Star Wars.
Yeah.
They did it with Marvel. You could do, and then, you know what? Disney owns both of them, so there's no excuses.
Exactly.
You know?
So that will definitely be really fun. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to these 3 games, these new Star Wars games. And Respawn is definitely, out of all the like new EA Star Wars games, mind you, all we got was Battlefield 1, 2, and then Jedi Fallen Order. Respawn has been the best one. So there we go. Let's move on. Next topic is that PlayStation London Studio is making an online PlayStation PS5 exclusive. This will be really quick. Pretty much, the London studio, they put up a new tweet saying that we're building a team from the ground up for an upcoming PlayStation 5 online game. New starters will join at the perfect time to get involved in shaping our plans for a project that we are exceptionally excited about. And then it has a link to job postings and everything like that.
How exciting that must be for the 15 people that own a PS5.
Which, mind you, London Studio are the people who have been working on VR games like A Blood and Truth, and so on and so forth. So right now it's being played very close to chest. We don't really know what this game is. It just says that there's an advertisement from the studio that the developer states that an ideal candidate will help the studio, quote, in crafting a wide range of characters, skins, creatures, weapons, and gear. However, that description could be applied to anything.
But you want to bet it's going to be Knack 3.
The Revenge, Knack 3.
Oh my god.
Knack 3 Battle Royale.
So, I mean, mind you, London Studios has worked on pretty much VR games recently. It's been Blood and Truth, which is a VR game, and then PSVR Worlds, which was like more of kind of like a tech demo of like, this is what the PSVR can do. It was definitely fun, but it was definitely more of a tech demo. Blood and Truth was a VR game. Like, that is like, you're playing a game. So they're working on an online game, and we'll see if this is going to go in tandem with the newly announced PlayStation VR 2 with that. So that'll be actually very interesting. So, yeah. Anything else?
I mean, I don't have a PS5, so no.
Okay.
I don't want a PS5, so no.
I would still get one, but it's like at this point, my PC's better anyway. So
there you go.
There you go.
That's all I need.
There you go. All right, move on. Next topic is that Ed Boon, the creator of Mortal Kombat, will be inducted into the AIAS Hall of Fame, pretty much the DICE Awards Hall of Fame. So at the DICE Awards, 25th Annual DICE Awards, Ed Boon will be joining Bethesda's Todd Howard, Nintendo's Shigeru Miyamoto, Valve's Gabe Newell, Xbox's Bonnie Ross, and other industry legends into the Hall of Fame. So he has been announced for this year's DICE Awards Hall of Fame. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I didn't even know that was a thing. But
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I've heard of it before. I mean, it's. I mean, yeah. He's kind of a well-known icon of the industry, so I mean, it makes sense. I'm not a Mortal Kombat guy. I'm not a Mortal Kombat guy myself, but I mean, I understand the cultural significance it has.
Would you say it's warranted?
And you get kudos for leading to the creation of the ESRB. So, because that's essentially what Mortal Kombat like did, was create the video game rating system as a result of what it was.
Yeah. I mean, I believe it's completely warranted. Like, he deserves to go in. He's an industry
We know
icon.
his name. What else do we need to say?
Yeah, Ed, that should be a good criteria in general. Do we know their name? It's not. It's
because there's a lot of unsung heroes in game development, I'm sure, but it's
no,
like
literally who's, you know.
Yeah. But yeah. All right. Awesome. Let's move on. Last topic is that Ubisoft executive says, quote, gamers don't get it when it comes to NFTs. This is from Finder. I also have an article from IGN kind of breaking it down. But pretty much, I think you and me, Spectre, have talked about NFTs and stuff like that. Because Ubisoft and a few other game publishers have been going into the NFT realm. And we kind of talked about what an NFT is and our opinions on it. But pretty much like when Ubisoft created this like this whole new program called I think it was like Quantic or Cubic or whatever. Pretty much they wanted to use Ghost Recon Breakpoint as like the starting point, as like, hey, you can play Breakpoint, and by doing this you can start getting NFTs or currency, or you can buy NFTs and they're only available to you because you have the NFT, and da. And tons of people, including myself, were like, oh, no, we don't want this. And so during an interview with Finder, Ubisoft's Strategic Innovations Lab Vice President Nicolas Perraud said that gamers simply don't understand the benefits of NFTs. Quote, I think gamers don't get what a digital secondary market can bring them. For now, because of the current situation and context of NFTs, gamers really believe it's first destroying the planet, and second, just a tool for speculation. What we at Ubisoft are seeing first is the end game. The end game is about giving players the opportunity to resell their items once they're finished with them or they're finished playing the game itself. Of course, that was the new program that they're putting out there is called Quartz, and it was the most disliked video on YouTube. Mind you can't see the dislike numbers on YouTube anymore. YouTube got rid of that, so that sucks. But yes, but it is.
At least now we know that everyone likes our videos because there's no dislikes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's not publicly you can't see it.
Plausible deniability.
So I know, Spectre, you and I have talked about NFTs, I believe, on the last episode. But Guru Blaze, what do you think of? What is your opinion on NFTs in the gaming industry, or just kind of hearing about this, or what do you think?
I mean, for the time being, I'll stick with my crypto, because I dabble in crypto. So I'm not going to outright say that NFTs are like a dumb idea necessarily, because obviously it's still being talked about, and obviously it's grown from being nothing into something.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to act like any kind of expert. I kind of tangentially think I know. It's like basically like value attributed to like digital art that can be, you own it and then you can resell it essentially.
Yeah.
Am I close to the mark?
That's pretty much
more or less.
Yeah, pretty much what it is that so for instance, if you made an NFT and I wanted to buy it from you, so you made a logo that I liked, or a design that I liked, and I bought it from you, I can buy it from you. It will be like, all right, Guru Blaze, and then it goes to Brett. And then let's say, for instance, Spectre wanted to buy it from me or whatever. So then it would continue the chain, so the whole blockchain. So it would go Guru Blaze, then Brett, then Spectre, and then if Spectre wanted to sell that to someone else, then it continues the chain going forward.
What I don't understand, what I would have, like, how is the value of it determined? And like, how would you get any return on it? Because you'd have to. It seems so arbitrary.
So it can be like that with any kind of art too. How is the value of art determined? It's basically by who's willing to buy it.
Exactly.
So if you create an NFT, do you just set the price and then?
I think that's part of it. There's it's sort of like an initial bid for it, But I mean, it's like anything else. Like an NFT created by I know Tony Hawk was creating NFTs. Like those probably have some value because everyone knows who Tony Hawk is and people like Tony Hawk. Or as compared to if I made an NFT, nobody knows who the hell I am. So there probably wouldn't be much value in it.
But
so that also given what you just said, it seems like, okay, so what? It's just so that well-known rich people can get richer. It doesn't seem like
that's the plan.
I mean,
Yeah, I guess.
the whole premise is that like it is the owner, the creator. It is still like you still own it, so like that's why your name is still connected to it. Where like for instance, if I bought like you drew something on a piece of paper or on a canvas or something, and I bought it from you, now it's mine. And then I can sell it to someone else and whatever. There is no way for it to come back to you. Not in money wise, just like as in like this was made by Guru Blaze or that kind of stuff. The
It's almost like a residuals or royalty thing for some of it too, and you could say
the way
being a designer, it almost makes me just want to make a bunch of them and just see if I can't make money. Because what do I got to lose?
I mean,
nothing's stopping you, right? Yeah.
I mean,
with some of the ones I've seen and how ridiculously bad they look, like
people are spending ridiculous amounts of money on that.
Like it just like looks like literally something made in MS Paint.
And like the thing is that the gaming community, we as like gamers, we don't like this. Like, and this seems like something that we are actually bucking against more than like microtransactions or season passes or online passes were, years ago. Those like online passes don't exist anymore because they just didn't work. But microtransactions are running rampant. Now it's just the norm. Season passes are now the norm. Now season passes have become battle passes, and that's the norm. So like, but this is kind of
because it sounds cooler. But
I mean, to play devil's advocate, I could see some benefit to it because the idea of like reselling digital content is somewhat appealing. Instead of just not being able to sell anything, so I could see some aspects of it that are.
Now that you say, would the Steam trading cards be kind of like an NFT then?
You could almost say that, yeah. Except the difference
the
would
way
be like
that they function. It seems like that's pretty much what it is because it's like they have this value and you can sell them for actual money.
Yeah.
The difference is
some are more rare than others, but
I think the better comparison would be they're like a Steam trading card, but imagine like it was a unique trading card that only you could have, only one person could have at any one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So I mean, I guess again, I think that there's potential to the idea because who's to say? I mean, money only has value because we all say it does. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
And that's essentially a piece of artwork if you think about it. It's a piece of paper with print on it.
I'm not a fan. I don't like NFTs. Now I know one of my friends have kind of explained it to more because he's also an artist and that kind of stuff. And he's explained it to me. He actually he makes NFTs. He makes NFTs for a living. And he's explained to me. I understand it, but I don't know if I still kind of am down with NFTs, especially in video games. No, but
I feel like
we could just get back to how it was before.
I don't think that it's at an evolved enough point to start integrating it into anything that you actually pay money for.
But
yeah, I wanted to get back to where we were before, where you just bought a game. There was no DLC. There was nothing. It was just that was it. I mean, anything that takes us away from that is I'm initially resistant against.
Yeah,
that's fair.
So yeah, okay, and that is everything of the news. Is there anything else you want to go ahead and discuss about this, or are you guys ready to move on?
No, I think we're ready to dive in.
Okay. So with that being said, we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to talk about in this PlayStation conversation because tons of stuff happened within the past 2 to 3 weeks. So let's begin. This is our PlayStation conversation.
PlayStation.
Okay, so we have a lot to discuss. Pretty much, I believe it was last week. So as of we are recording again, January 31st. I believe it was last week. From this date, so 7 days ago from recording, Xbox, Microsoft, straight up and down, buys out Activision Blizzard. This was on January 18th, or actually 2 weeks ago, maybe. January 18th. Was that 2 weeks ago? I'm not entirely sure.
That's about right, yeah.
Yeah, that was 2 weeks. Yeah, whoo, that is... that was 2 weeks ago. Jesus Christ. Okay. 2 weeks ago, Microsoft buys out Activision Blizzard for, I believe, It was like almost $70 billion. Which is nuts. I think it was like 68.
I didn't even think they were worth that much.
Like it's
like.
Well, then you see what kind of property, like what IPs they hold. Blizzard itself.
You're thinking long term, like ROI to pay that much money for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you got heavy hitters in there like Call of Duty. You got Candy Crush. You got, of course, all the Blizzard with which is still making money from World of Warcraft and Diablo, all these games that these IPs that they have. So I mean, you can it kind of adds up when you think about it.
And like again, we're kind of gonna jump around a lot because there's a lot to discuss about this. But maybe
we should go over our kind of like our initial reactions to it all.
So I'm just right now looking for the exact. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Microsoft has confirmed that the deal was worth $68.7 billion when they bought ZeniMax Bethesda last year, or like last year. It was for $7.5 billion. So this is like, God, I don't even know how many times. Like, it's ridiculous. But like, they pretty
10
much.
times.
Oh, I'm sorry.
10 times.
10 times? Jesus.
Yeah, that's 7 billion to 70 billion. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So 10 times the amount that Bethesda ZeniMax was worth. So by doing that, just to kind of hear about that, the properties that Xbox now has acquired by buying out Activision. So these are all the properties that Activision has on hand, whether they are active or not. In alphabetical order, it is Blur, Caesar, Call of Duty, Candy Crush, Crash Bandicoot, Diablo, DJ Hero, Empire Earth, Gabriel Knight, Geometry Wars, Guitar Hero, Gun, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, Hexen, Interstate 76, King's Quest, Laura Bow Mysteries, The Lost Vikings, Overwatch, Phantasmagoria, Pitfall, Police Quest, Prototype, Quest for Glory, Singularity, Skylanders, Soldier of Fortune, Space Quest, Spyro the Dragon, StarCraft, Tenchu, Time Shift, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, True Crime, World of Warcraft, and Zork. Those are all the properties that now Xbox has access to, including Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, which used to be PlayStation mascots that are now.
Which given what Sony just did too is kind of an irony.
Yeah. So yeah, and I have tons of articles going about it. The reactions that the industry made, so that it's nuts. So I have an article from IGN just kind of going through different reactions from different places that kind of had their reaction. So like a better ABK, which were the people who were on strike, they kind of the official Twitter account represents Activision Blizzard King workers protesting against the company culture of harassment and discrimination. They shared their thoughts at length. The news of Activision acquisition of Microsoft is surprising, but does not change the goal of the alliance, and it kind of goes through that. John Carmack, the founder of ID Software and current CTO of Oculus VR, recalled how it was nearly acquired by Activision before ending up with ZeniMax, Bethesda's parent company. Activision has served as ID's publisher from 97 with Quake 2 to 2009. Carmack praised Kotick for being a source of support during the development, as well as for guiding the company through a period of growth, and the tweet is there also. Seamus Blackley is one of the founding designers of Xbox, had particularly mixed but cautiously optimistic feelings. Blackley recounted how he was once, quote, essentially mocked by Activision for promoting the idea of a new game console. He says, quote, I wonder if today they remember that too. His tweet, he says, it's terrifically, incredibly, head-meltingly weird to see little baby Xbox eat up Activision. Some still at Activision will recall a young Seamus showing up claiming things about a new game console only to be essentially mocked. I wonder if they remember that today. I do. Jeff Keighley tweets, the Activision news makes you wonder what will happen with other major publishers / platforms. One thing I will say, a lot of innovation and future of this industry comes from independent developer / publishers out there too. It's easy to fixate on the huge deals. Rami Ismail, the co-founder of Lambert, also and noted educator in the games industry, expressed worry that Tuesday's news will overshadow the progress made by pretty much the people in the strike, so on and so on. And the tweets there too. And again, it keeps going and going and going. These are all different reactions to this. And then before we kind of move on, there is a comparison to the different buyouts that other companies have made. So when AT&T bought out Time Warner, it was for $85.4 billion in 2018. When Disney bought 21st Century Fox, it was worth $71.3 billion in 2019. Then Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard was $68.7 billion. Take-Two bought Zynga, which was like a pretty much mobile, like all the Facebook games. That was worth $12.7 billion like in 2022, this year. Tencent buys Supercell, which was for $8.6 billion. Amazon buys MGM for $8.45 billion. Microsoft buys ZeniMax for $8.1. Disney buys Pixar for $7.4 billion. When Activision bought King back in 2015, they bought King for $5.9 billion. Disney bought Marvel for $4.24 billion in 2009. Like, it's crazy. And then it kind of keeps going and going. It goes down from there. So with all of this being said, and I'm kind of jumping around and kind of going forward, what do you guys think about Activision now being owned by Xbox, like straight up and down being owned by Xbox? I'll start with Guru Blaze.
I mean, it's honestly hard to say because it's like it depends on what they're gonna do, and I can't know what that exactly. I mean, obviously they want to just make more money first and foremost, and that's definitely a way to do it. Because, like, you know, with all the IPs that come attached with buying it, which is really the only reason that any of these smaller companies are basically just, you know, annexed by the bigger ones. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's also like, it seems like it's just, again, between Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, which have always been the big three.
Yeah.
It's almost like there was a while where, you know, even before they purchased them, it's like they had their hands in all of these other companies because of the nature of consoles having their games hosted on them.
Yeah.
So,
and the third parties.
Right. And so it's almost like they're just cutting out the middleman for themselves, which again, in a business sense, I mean, what are you going to argue against? But I also, you know, I think there could be I think the biggest negative possibility is, again, it's like it's going to become like there's not really room. There's not going to. I fear that there'll be less room for new and creative ideas because they're just going to be scrutinized by people who think they know how things work, just because they think that a mark of success is just how many developers or companies you own, not like how quality they are, or what people are able to come up with. And it's like, I'm not saying that's going to happen for sure, but I can't know that because it seems like, you know, things are just switching around so often. And it's just like, you know, with what happened with Blizzard as an example, and that whole debacle with, like, you know, the frat boy culture and all, it's like, it's, you know, like the original team that made Mass Effect, it's not even the same people anymore when they were coming out with new games. It's not to say, but it's like, as long as the open creativity is kept and new ideas are encouraged, and it's not just like, we'll stick to this formula because this is what makes us money. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when's the last time you played a video game? Like any of those people, I bet it's a small number because they're in it for business. Like they're not necessarily in it because they actually care. They just know that there's money in games, and that's what makes them their fortune. And I'm not saying that that's every one of them, but that would be my biggest fear, is that like it's just going to become a restrictive element in the development of games going forward, because they're all going to have to, you know, fall in line with whatever umbrella or blanket, you know, guidelines are going to be given to them, because now they're owned by another company that's, you know, thinks that, you know, they may have like the best idea of what, you know, a good game is or is not, as opposed to, well, we may not know that until something new comes out. And then it's like Dark Souls, for instance. With as popular as that game style is now, even in indie games, even with indie developers, you know, on PC, even 2D games have adopted, you know, those kind of mechanics in some cases. If they weren't allowed to do the things that made that game what it is, being super challenging, unforgiving, but also having like this artistic expression that you didn't see in anything else at the time.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be lost, because we're all going to lose because of it, if that's the case, in my opinion.
Yeah, and before I go on to Spectre's opinions on this, I do want to bring up the whole reason that we didn't kind of talk about this when it went live is because I wanted to kind of just wait to kind of have the storm kind of settle after this, because we got a lot of information after the announcement of Microsoft acquiring Xbox about exclusivities and who's running the show and da-da-da-da-da. So that's why we're talking about it 2 weeks after it happens, and we actually have some news that happened today that we will discuss later on. But going from that, Spectre, what do you think about, what is your opinion, before we continue on with this, what is your opinion on Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard, like just straight up and down, now it is Xbox?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I could summarize my thoughts on it with short term, kind of irrelevant, won't really change much. Long term pessimism. So in the short term, I don't think this is really going to have much of an impact, and that's kind of what news articles are even suggesting. There was a lot of worry right away that, is Call of Duty going to be an Xbox exclusive now, or only on certain platforms, or blah blah blah, and they've already
and then they answered with, who fucking cares?
They answered with like, oh well, we're still gonna make games on PlayStation, don't worry, everything's gonna be fine, blah blah blah. So I don't think in the short run, I don't think things are gonna really change all that much. In the long run, I'm very pessimistic and concerned about the direction that things are going. I think we're moving towards a sort of a consolidation, almost like a singularity of where we're just gonna have one or two massive oligarch corporations kind of running every aspect of our video game entertainment, other than indies. We're heading towards sort of like a cyberpunk dystopia here in a way, like unironically,
potentially a boring one.
In a very boring dystopia, like with no neon or fun stuff like that.
Right,
it's just gonna be.
What's the point in a dystopia if you don't have neon laden streets?
Yeah, instead of cyber girls and stuff like that, you're going to have an Xbox Game Pass. That's what you're going to.
That's the future that I want.
Yeah, that's your future. Yeah.
Why not make them one and the same if you're going to do that anyway?
That's your future, but
that's what the PSVR 2 is going to be.
We can only hope, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, my concern is that as things become more and more consolidated with Microsoft and other companies, you're gonna lose. It's gonna wrest away any control that you have. We're gonna move away from.
That's basically what I was saying too.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna restrict creative freedom potentially, because everyone has to follow this same mold, and just because they may have the financial backing to produce whatever they want doesn't mean it's going to be good. Because I guarantee half of the people that, not to, like the developers as one thing, the people they're buying up.
Mm-hmm.
But the people doing the buying, I guarantee, are like far and away detached from like what a fun game is because they don't play games.
Yeah.
Well,
their game is making money. They don't care how they do it.
Even from a consumer standpoint, that's where I'm concerned about is am I going to be are we looking at a future here where you really don't have a choice but to buy a new game from, Microsoft Store or through at what point are we going to get to a point where games are only released through Game Pass? You have to have a Game Pass subscription to even play a new game. I think that's a future we're moving towards, and we're moving towards it very quickly.
You won't even be able to buy a single game and have a limited license. You're just going to have to just do a Netflix-esque like version of playing games because it's just way easier to make more money on something you commoditize and have some sort of subscription where you have a consistent, constant income as opposed to a one-time purchase, which is what it's been since its inception, basically.
Yeah, and it's going to wrest away what little consumer rights and control that we have left. You'll own nothing and you'll be miserable.
And the only thing you can do is not play them. That's like the only stance you can take to try to do anything. But it's never going to be enough to make them change it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at alternatives myself. I mean, like, I don't think this is going to happen within the next 5 years. It might be, 20 years down the road, but I think this is where we're heading towards. We might be looking at a future where you can't really have a video game console anymore, or if you want to play the new Halo or whatever, you have to have an Xbox, Game Pass subscription, and you won't even be able to download it. You'll have to stream it, over as well too. So you won't even have any semblance of ownership of the game.
2045 and the Playbox Lite just released.
I mean,
it's just one singular thing.
I mean,
it's a dark future that we're heading towards, and that's what I'm really concerned about. And I think the only alternative I have really is, I mean, they can't take away all the games we have. We have 40, 50 years of gaming history that we'll always have, but it's kind of a sad future. I mourn for the experience, my descendants will have to go through here. I don't know what they're looking at.
I suppose the only real benefit I can see is that all the physical copies that we have are going to shoot up in value because people are going to want to be able to have a game they don't have to just kind of have and barely be able to play unless you're paying, like, as opposed to, like, you could just own it and that's it. And you have it.
Yeah, so...
And you don't have to pay extra for it.
I mean, like, I do agree partially with what Spectre has been saying, and I do agree with you also, Guru, with what you were saying too. My opinion on this buyout is I feel like this is where we're not playing the same game, or like when we're talking about competition, we're not playing the same game that we were, even last generation or, generations ago. Now, I think what may be happening is that the third parties will cease to exist. What I feel like is happening is that, Bethesda got bought from Xbox last year. Now it's Activision by Xbox. Other studios are being bought by PlayStation also. And I think what may happen is that the third parties will cease to exist. EA could get bought by PlayStation or Xbox, Square Enix, Ubisoft, so on and so on and so on.
I think FromSoft has a good shot at staying independent, at least for the time being.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Insomniac wanted to stay independent, but then just...
Or like Naughty Dog. Although there's part of Sony, I suppose.
No, like Sony owns Naughty Dog. Sony owns Naughty Dog. Like, in order to separate that studio, you would have to leave Naughty Dog. Like, the studio would have, like, the people within Naughty Dog would have to, like, leave.
Well, and that's the other thing, like, touching back on what we were, like, just as a quick mention of what we were talking about earlier with the whole idea of, like, striking and such, it's like, the people actually working for these companies, in a lot of cases, I think they're going to be forced into a position where it's like, well, I don't want to lose my job and my livelihood. But it's like, if I don't want to do this anymore because it's like, there's no creative freedom, what's the point in doing this job anymore? We're going to lose a lot of talent. because people aren't going to want to bend to the whim, and I bet they'd rather try to just make it on their own as an independent developer than, be at the beck and call of a bunch of detached millionaires who have nothing to do with the industry itself.
I mean, like, the thing is that, like, if we kind of look at this, like, so here's the thing. We have discussed on this show and just talking, PlayStation, if we look at PlayStation exclusives compared to Xbox, like, what did Xbox have before these buys? Before they even bought, like, Ninja Theory and, Compulsion and Double Fine. All they had was Halo, Gears of War, and Forza. That's it. They had nothing. Where you could look at PlayStation and go, well, there's
technically
Uncharted.
They had Killer Instinct, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's more of a niche.
I think it's a topic we can come back to for like probably another episode. Really, as a main topic, really is the idea. I think we're entering a post exclusive era, like where you don't really have console exclusives anymore.
I think as soon as Kingdom Hearts came out on Xbox, it pretty much ended that.
Yeah, with the exception of Nintendo.
Yeah, that's it.
Like
they got Pokemon and Mario and anything attributed to that. I doubt that they would ever get purchased.
Because I also wrote down the different list of studios that Xbox has now acquired, including Activision. So through that, so the 33 different studios. So Xbox now owns 33 different studios. So you have 343 Industries, which does Halo. You have Compulsion Games, which did We Happy Few. Double Fine, which did Psychonauts 2 and Brutal Legend, and so on and so on. That's Tim Schafer's company. In Exile who worked on the Wasteland games. Mojang is the Minecraft studio. Ninja Theory does the Hellblade games, which they're making Hellblade 2 in the future. Obsidian are the guys who worked on Fallout New Vegas, the South Park games, KOTOR 2, Knights of the Old Republic 2, Playground Games, who made the Forza franchise, Rare, which is Sea of Thieves and Banjo-Kazooie and so on, the Coalition, which is the Gears of War studio, then the Initiative, Turn 10 Studios, Undead Labs, who has made the State of Decay games, World's Edge, Xbox Game Studios Publishing, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm stumbling over my words. Xbox Game Studio Publishing just works with other third parties to do second party deals and stuff like that. Then you have the games from Bethesda, or the studios from Bethesda. So you have Alpha Dog Games, Arcane, which has done Dishonored and Deathloop, Bethesda Game Studios, or Bethesda Softworks, which has done Skyrim and Fallout and id Software, which is Doom, Machine Games, which is Wolfenstein, Roundhouse Studios, Tango Gameworks, which worked on Evil Within, and ZeniMax Online, which is Elder Scrolls. Now, by acquiring Activision, they now own Blizzard, which is Warcraft and Overwatch, Beenox, which worked on the old Spider-Man games, like Amazing Spider-Man and that kind of stuff, High Moon Studios, which worked on the old Transformers games, Infinity Ward, which is one of the Call of Duty studios, Radical Entertainment, which is worked on Prototype, Raven Software, who also works on Call of Duty. They work on Warzone. Sledgehammer Games, which is another Call of Duty studio. Toys for Bob, which did Spyro the Dragon, Skylanders, and then Crash Bandicoot 4. Treyarch, which is the other Call of Duty studio, and then Vicarious Visions, which did work on the Tony Hawk and Crash Bandicoot remaster, but have now been sucked into Blizzard, which is now doing that. So that's 33 different studios compared to the 18 studios that PlayStation owns. So that's huge. They have a massive library now to work with. Way more compared to PlayStation. Which is crazy. Just to kind of continue with this. So regarding Bobby Kotick, who is the CEO of Activision, pretty much it states that speaking to VentureBeat, Kotick says that Activision Blizzard is looking increasingly outgunned in a field that now has pretty much what he's saying is that Bobby Kotick looks that PlayStation's not the competition. Now it's Amazon, Tencent, Apple, Google, Facebook, Netflix, so on and so on. It's the entertainment companies. They're not playing the same game anymore.
Literally.
And that, but that's what you
unintended,
hear,
right? Yeah.
That's what you hear from these big CEOs. They're they're not looking at like, oh, our competition is the other console maker. Now we're trying to fight content create like entertainment makers. So like Netflix and Apple and Google and Facebook. You know,
and anybody with enough money could just acquire a game studio and start in on it. So,
and the thing is that,
and that's probably why Microsoft is basically trying to eliminate that potential for anybody to buy anything that they can't get their hands on already.
And the crazy thing is that Microsoft that was just offhand money. Microsoft has way more money to just use offhand than Sony does. Or PlayStation. I'm not entirely sure if like it's from like with all.
Well, it's because they also got their PC revenue. Mm-hmm. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you do have like Sony Studios, like the movies, and then you have like, you know, they're also makers of the TVs and the cameras and so on and so on.
Yeah, I mean that's the crazy thing. They can do this and it barely scratches them, you know, in terms of, you know, financials.
Exactly.
You know?
They're only going to gain from it, potentially.
But with this being said, Bobby Kotick is reportedly planning to step down once this acquisition finalizes in June. Because what happened is that, so like he did an interview, Bobby Kotick was like, oh, we're so happy about this. And I also have like the interview article of that in the description in the sources. But pretty much there was supposed to be a pretty much like a meeting with him being there, and he reportedly turned up late to said meeting and then left early, which was meant to reassure the employees of Activision. Shows how much Bobby Kotick gives a crap.
Bobby Kotick's a piece of shit. So.
God, and he is the
There's nothing else to be said.
You can say whatever you want about him, but he's laughed himself all the way to the bank here.
He is. He's a piece of shit. He's just a rich piece of shit.
Mm-hmm. So as reported by the Washington Post, the meeting, which was scheduled to last half an hour and was billed as a quote fireside chat, allegedly only lasted 16 minutes. After Kotick himself turned up 7 minutes late and finished the meeting early, Kotick reportedly discussed a number of points during the meeting, including the future of the company as it prepares to begin life under Microsoft, and CEO's own status within the company. Sources told Washington Post that they'd become suspicious over potential layoffs after Kotick told those in attendance that, quote, the transition is going to be smooth because Microsoft is committed to trying to retain as many of our people as possible. During the meeting, Kotick reiterated that he would remain on as CEO of the company throughout the transitional process and for as long as Microsoft needed him afterward. Quote, this is a company that I've now been here for 31 years, and there is nothing more important to me other than my children than this company. I can tell you that my commitment to the company is to remain in my role. Once the deal closes, what I've committed to Microsoft is I will stay as long as is necessary to ensure that we have a great integration and great transition. But one employee who wished to remain anonymous allegedly told the Washington Post after the fireside meeting that they were optimistic over the deal with Microsoft, but remained, quote, wary of Kotick. Quote, all the fear and anger felt is still tied up in Bobby Kotick and what harm he will inflict until the torch has been passed to Microsoft, said the Blizzard employee. Continuing, quote, he likened Activision to be as important as his children, and I feel like he will not let go of it. With no mention of the strike, the lawsuit, or any of the continuing issues, there may as well not have been a Q&A at all. We could have read a press release and slept an extra 15 minutes. So remember, like, there's been a lot of news within the past months of the lawsuit, which is the, like, pretty much the way they have been handling, like, the fraternity lifestyle that has been happening.
He just doesn't. He wants to be able to grope women without consequence. Mm-hmm. Is essentially what it comes down to.
You have the strike. You have the lawsuit.
I'm more conspiracy minded. Like, I think this was I mean, who knows? I mean, this could have been sort of a 4D chess type of thing. I mean, you know, devalue the company with a lot of baseless accusations,
right, so that everybody gets away with fucking what they did because now they're no longer.
Well, Well, the thing is, too, is a lot. I mean, really, what do they have? There is no smoking gun of a lot of these accusations. I'm not saying that they're not true. It's just that, I mean, a lot of them are based on, they're just claims or accusations. There's no evidence that's really been gathered necessarily yet. I guess the conspiracy minded in me is like, well, did somebody like behind the scenes here think like, well, if we is this like a producer style thing where it's like, we'll make like a terrible thing and we'll make off because you kind of see what I'm coming from with this, like,
no, right, exactly. Like I said, it's basically just distraction and deception. Like
I am not.
Now because like you said, now it's owned under a different name, and basically now that it's under new management, it's like, is he even going to be liable for any of the stuff that's going on because it's no longer within his full control? So it's like, well, I'm not, in control anymore. So doesn't everybody happy be like, no, you piece of shit?
I'm not going to go ahead and like discredit anyone that like again it is.
I'm going to discredit the hell out of.
No, I'm talking about the employees who have been like, with everything that the lawsuit has been talking about with the
and I'm not saying that to clarify, I'm not saying that they're lying or anything like that necessarily. I'm just saying that I mean the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, and we don't know. I'm just saying like the conspiracy minded in me thinks is like, well, if I was looking to make a deal to sell a company here, we wanted to devalue it, like I don't know, it has my it has
a way to do it.
I don't know. I mean, again, I watch wrestling, and it seems like WWE, like Vince McMahon and Nick Khan and everyone is looking to do a similar thing. They've said that they're not going to sell, but they're like the what's on TV is bad and it's not fun to watch, but it still makes tons of money. And like, I wouldn't be surprised within like the next 5 years, WWE gets bought by Disney or something. But anyway, back to this. I'm hoping that with Xbox having Activision, maybe they can fix some of the problems because of Codex just not giving a crap of what it like. Really, it's just, do you make me money? Call of Duty, more of it. Like, just every single studio is just working on Call of Duty. Like they made Tony Hawk, and that was just a penny in a bucket. Like, sure, fine, and mind you, we love it. I know you and I, Spectre, we love that game.
Yeah.
Like we play, like Vicarious Visions now doesn't exist anymore. They're sucked into Blizzard, which sucks. They should still be around and still be making like remasters or whatever new games they want to make. But it's just Call of Duty. I'm really hoping that's not the case. But when this buyout happened, the stocks of Sony plummeted. From CNN, the shares of the maker of the PlayStation console, which is a major rival to Microsoft Xbox, plummeted nearly 13% in Tokyo on Wednesday after Microsoft announced the nearly $70 billion deal, which was the worst plunge in Sony's stock price since 2008. I believe that was like 20, like it was $20 million. Like, it was crazy. Let's see. Nearly 30% of Sony's revenue comes from games and network services, according to the company's most recent earnings report. So yeah, with this buy, the stocks of Sony just went boom, just down the hole. It was wiping out $20 billion off of Sony. With the buyout, the entire stock wiped away $20 billion away from Sony. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, from a purely curiosity standpoint, I'm interested to see what Sony does with Bungie.
Mm-hmm.
Because a Sony created Halo would be something to see. Mm-hmm. Because I'm just curious of how they would approach it, because since time immemorial, like, Halo was the face of Xbox and Microsoft, especially with the release of Infinite now. And I guess the fact that their stock dropped so much, that's interesting. I'm not sure exactly why, Probably. I mean, it has to be just because of like brand association.
Well, think about it.
Because I can't think of another reason why it would matter.
Well, think about it. Activision, like if you look at the big third-party publishers out there who make games for both platforms, for both Xbox and PlayStation, it's Activision Blizzard. So Activision, Ubisoft, and EA. Those are your big three that make like tons of games every year for both platforms. Activision now being owned by Xbox, including the one franchise that makes more money next to Grand Theft Auto. Like Call of Duty is like they make billions of dollars every year just off of Call of Duty by itself. That's why so many studios are working on Call of Duty. That's why Activision just pretty much through all of their developers just go like, hey, work on Call of Duty, help Warzone, work on the next Call of Duty game, whatever. You know, even though Vanguard was trash, still made tons of money. Cold War was good, and still made tons of money. Like, no matter what, you're gonna have decent Call of Duty games and then crap Call of Duty games, and like, no matter what, tons of money are gonna be raked in by Activision. With Activision now no longer existing as a third-party company, now it's a first party. You lose Call of Duty, you lose all of that. That's why I believe that the stock's plummeted. Now, I'm about to go in and talk about, like, not only Sony's response, but also Xbox saying that, Phil Spencer from Xbox saying that Call of Duty, they plan on not making Call of Duty exclusive. But, yeah, Spectre, what do you think about the $20 billion, like, plunge that Sony took from this? Because I know you like this kind of number stuff.
I do, yeah, it's curious. You know, it's... I don't know if it shows a lack of confidence in Sony, like in its long-term future. Because in some ways, I mean, when you think about it, Sony's doing better than they have in a long, from a financial standpoint. I mean, PlayStation 5, you know, is selling incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, they're making a lot of money from their gaming branch, which, you know, had struggled before.
Yep.
You know, it's I don't know if it maybe there's a feeling in the market like from an old style kind of console war kind of mentality like that. You know, Microsoft is maybe just kind of like, you know, dealt some sort of, you know, killing blow, but it's just like we were talking about before. I don't think they're competing for the same things here. I don't think I think the era really we're thinking from a almost like a 90s era perspective on console sales and like, oh, all that matters is the console sales. I don't really think any of the companies really care about that. Maybe Nintendo does. Nintendo it has always made it a point to make their systems profitable. So maybe Nintendo really is concerned about like number of units sold, but I don't think like, you know, Microsoft or Sony to the same extent are. I think they care about having a you know, a catalog of games and services that are doing well. They care more about their services. I could see them both even discontinuing systems even in name of services. I mean, maybe that's the future we're heading towards, is sort of a console agnostic future where you don't even, you know, that's kind of the idea behind streaming, really. That's kind of what my fear is that, you know, in the future you don't even buy a console. You go on your TV, which came bundled with, you know, an Xbox Game Pass subscription or a PlayStation, whatever their new, you know, subscription service they're working on is going to be called, and that's how you play. So I think that's I don't know, from the stock price. I mean, who really knows? I mean, we can all speculate, but really none of us really know.
Yeah, I mean, mind you, Wall Street is nuts. Like I barely understand how all that works.
If I understood it better, I'd be doing much better off on it. So,
but pretty much Sony's response to the buyout is that pretty much they said a Sony spokesperson said to the Wall Street Journal, quote, "We expect that Microsoft will abide by contractual agreements and continue to ensure Activision games are multi-platform." And there's a big long like article talking about this, or it's actually a really short article, I'm sorry, but that's pretty much the gist of it. There Sony goes, fine, You want to buy Activision? Fine, but you still need to adhere to the contracts with Deathloop. You still need to adhere to Ghostwire Tokyo, which that was made by Bethesda, which is going to be a PS5 exclusive. Like, those contracts need to be still abided by because those are made before or whatever. Like, whatever contract. So the 10-year contract that they have, so until 2024, I believe. The contract that they had with Activision for Call of Duty or whatever it would be, those still need to be abided by for that. And then they said that going with like exclusives, because that's kind of going off of this, is that Activision Blizzard has confirmed that it will not be removing existing games from PlayStation after it's been acquired by Xbox, like Warzone, Call of Duty Warzone, stuff like that. News coming from an employee Q&A filled with the Securities and Exchange Commission. And then it asks about how the deal between Xbox and Activision will impact existing partner agreements, and pretty much what the company has stated, quote, "We will honor all existing commitments post-close. As with Microsoft's acquisition of Minecraft, we have no intent to remove any content from platforms that where it exists today." So Call of Duty would still be multi-platform, stuff like that. I mean, mind you can still play Minecraft on PlayStation, which is definitely really good. So what that means is that Activision's hugely lucrative Call of Duty franchise will still remains to be seen. But I believe that they actually changed that. Is that Call of Duty will release on PlayStation. So pretty much, yeah. So according to Jason Schreier, Bloomberg says that before Xbox announced its deal, the Call of Duty company had already committed to making a few new Call of Duty games available across all platforms. Jason Schreier has stated that it will be Call of Duty 2022, so this year's Call of Duty 2023, and Warzone 2, which was planned for 2023. So at least for the next 2 years, Call of Duty will be multi-platform. So it'll still be on PlayStation. After that, who knows?
I guess since I don't play it, I don't have to worry as much.
But it is still a big deal for, we're the minority who don't.
Oh, I know plenty of people who play it, but it's like I said, if it wasn't like close to 300 gigs, maybe I'd consider having it, but
yeah. So we're the minority. We are guys who don't really play Call of Duty because it's not our kind of game. But at least it's going to be multi-platform for at least the next 2 years. After that, who knows?
Happy day.
Now, one of the things that I've kind of been like tossing and turning when I'm kind of thinking about this, I think you and I, Spectre, have talked about this, but I very much do feel like that we may be like Xbox may be like monopolizing the video game industry. And I think that's maybe one of your other worries that you have kind of talked about, is this whole kind of needless need, I guess, this needless expansion that Xbox is doing to, we're going to acquire Activision, we're going to acquire Bethesda. Who knows, next year they're going to acquire EA. It's just,
yeah.
And they can. It's not like Xbox can't. They can. I just feel that this is unneeded. And now, like, people are going to PlayStation, going to Sony, like, what are you going to do now? What is your answer? Are you going to go ahead and buy up Square Enix? Are you going to buy up Capcom? Are you going to buy From Software? Like, are you going to do that and stuff like that? Like, I feel like we're, like, as I talked about before, my initial reactions, that we're playing in a few years, maybe in a decade, all of the third parties will cease to exist. Square Enix will be owned by PlayStation. Capcom will be owned by PlayStation. I mean, hell, Evo is owned by PlayStation. That's where that's the grand championship of Street Fighter. So, Capcom will be owned by PlayStation. Xbox already owns Activision. They'll buy up EA next year. Ubisoft will be with Nintendo or something. Like, who knows?
Disney's going to come in and buy them all.
I mean, the thing is that, like, my worry is that we're playing a game of Monopoly with this, and that's what I worry about. Now, I did see an article. This comes from Kotaku, so I have my own feelings with Kotaku, but With all of this happening, while the merging of Microsoft and Activision feels much more like far too much like power being consolidated under one roof, once you understand what a monopoly is, it's pretty clear that it's not. In economics, a monopoly occurs when one single entity, be it a person, company, or government, establishes complete control over the supply of a product or service. In order for you to have a monopoly on pies, for example, you would have to be the only person in the market creating and selling pies. The legal definition of monopoly is a bit more broad. In order to attract the negative attention of an organization like the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, a company doesn't need to completely dominate a market to the exclusion of all competition. It just needs to possess significant market power. We're not talking about brand recognition or having a large stable of well-known AAA video games. We're talking about having enough power and little enough competition that a company can set inordinately high prices for its products. No matter which version of monopoly we're talking about, illegal, economic, or legal, the lack of competition is a key characteristic in the concern. Healthy competition makes for a healthy marketplace. If someone else is selling the same thing you are selling, you're motivated to find ways to make the thing you are selling better than theirs. That's how innovation works. If you're the one making, say, an annual NFL licensed football game, there's more of a chance this year's version will just be the last year's version with a fresh coat of paint, hence Madden. So on and so on. It talks about all that stuff. But because okay, so just to finish, if you want a more qualified answer, IGN spoke to Gamma Law's David Hope, and he is actually a really good source. He's a very good lawyer in the video game industry. I've listened to him. He's very, very well thought. Very, very smart. A media technology law expert who called the Microsoft acquisition deal an example of vertical integration. The acquisition is another example of so-called vertical integration in the video game industry. A console manufacturer, which is a distributor, acquiring a game developer, which is a producer. Of course, this is the largest such deal in the game industry history, but U.S. courts have historically been unwilling to apply restrictive antitrust principles to vertical transactions. Excuse me. So, because Microsoft, even if Microsoft buys every other third party out there, you still have competition because Sony can still, we have Naughty Dog and we have this. Nintendo can go, we have, Breath of the Wild and we have this and da. Like, you still have competition even though the third parties could cease to exist. Do you feel that we're kind of going into a monopoly, whether, in whatever ways with what I just stated? Do you feel that is kind of what may be happening? Because one example that I'm a big wrestling guy, and until 2019, WWE has held the monopoly of wrestling. Now, there are, of course, other wrestling companies like Impact and New Japan and so on and so on. But no one can hold a candle to WWE until All Elite Wrestling came into play. And now they have the power of, Turner and all of that. It has become competition to WWE. Hence why WWE doesn't want their talent to go to AEW or anything like that. So do you think that we're kind of going towards a somewhat monopoly in the video game industry relating to this? I'll start with Guru Blaze.
I'll just use this to do my wrap-up point because I gotta sleep.
No, you're good, dude.
But I mean, I think that it's a genuine concern because, again, it all comes down to human greed in any business of any kind, and the more money that they can make, they will. And it just goes back to what I said earlier, where like my main concern would be the restriction on like actual creativity and innovation, because if you own all of them, regardless of how much freedom you give to them, you're still by default putting a rule set on them that wasn't there before.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want them to keep putting out, what made them noteworthy or, changed gaming in some way or another.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be hard to maintain when, by definition, they're no longer an independent entity that governs themselves, and it's up to the scrutiny of whoever has the most money in the company to say, like, oh, that's not what people want. This is what people want. Be like, yeah, well, it's like, I mean, that's just what I see happening. It's like with people that don't have any idea what they're actually talking about because they're not gamers. And I'm not saying that in like some weird elitist sense, but it's like I guarantee that people in the higher echelons of those companies don't even play games. They just look at it as a business and nothing else. Granted, they want their business to flourish, so they want their games to be played.
Yeah.
So my hope would be that they're going to realize that, like, if they don't allow creative innovation, games will become stagnant, and then they will be superseded by Netflixes and other services that provide other forms of entertainment that are differential and unique.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, ultimately, a monopoly is very possible, but along with wanting to protect their profit margin, I think they would be smart to just let these companies be owned by them, but then act independently. And then the saving grace is the indie scene, where plenty of phenomenal games have come out that are not beholden to anybody other than the people that are making them. And if they were to get big enough, obviously they could sell their product or their IP to a bigger company, or just simply for the sake of like, well, we don't have to, and we would still make more than enough money, and just like, say no thanks. It's like you have plenty.
I'll come back to you, Spectre, but I know you have to leave, Guru Blaze. So before you do leave, one more thing. The last thing that we were going to talk about is that PlayStation has acquired Bungie. Now, as you have talked about how you want these studios to have creative freedom, there was a Q&A that Bungie put out and saying like, well, like, how does this work? Is Destiny now exclusive? Is, what's going on? And pretty much part of the deal is that Bungie still has complete creative freedom in their franchises, not only Destiny but into the future also. What do you think about PlayStation acquiring Bungie?
I think it's a bold move. I think it's kind of funny too, just to have like the flagship title of Microsoft be purchased by their main competitor. And honestly, I mean, I don't mind Halo. I think Halo's fun. I've played most of them, but I would honestly, the only real thing that I am interested to see Sony's take on Halo. If they decide to, because Infinite already kind of released, so it would be more their continued development of it. But I'm curious to see what they would do with Bungie's IPs under how Sony would develop it as opposed to Microsoft. It would just be an interesting compare and contrast.
Yeah.
To see how they might approach those titles as opposed to how they've always been done.
So yeah,
but I mean, I don't see it necessarily as a bad thing. I mean, it really just remains to be seen what's going to happen with it and how they're going to utilize now having Bungie under their control.
Yeah, no, I get you there. Any last words before we let you head off, Guru Blaze? Because I know you have to pass out.
Buy as many physical copies of games as you can.
I agree with you there, Guru Blaze. I agree with you there, Guru Blaze. All right.
And never get rid of them, even if you don't play them anymore.
Exactly. All right. Well, I'm glad. Thank you for. I know that when we're recording, this is very late for you, so I appreciate you staying up late to talk about this because I very much wanted your opinion on all.
Oh yeah, and I appreciate it. It's all good.
So yeah, we will try to do this much earlier for the next time you come on. But thank you so much, Guru Blaze. Any last words?
Have fun out there.
All right. Thank you, Guru Blaze. All right. We'll talk to you later, Guru Blaze.
Take care.
Okay. So back to you, Spectre. Before we go ahead and talk about Bungie, because I wanted to get Guru Blaze's opinions on it. What do you think we're going into like a monopoly kind of like thing with this?
I really hope not. Well, the thing from a general principle for monopolies, I mean, usually what do you refer to them? You refer to like, utilities, things like that. I mean, for entertainment, I don't know. I'm not really as familiar with like, antitrust law, things like that in this regard. I know, of course, Microsoft famously was taken to court back in the 90s, I believe, for over, antitrust, issues and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know, like I mean what I said before, long-term pessimism. I don't see a bright future out of this really. I mean, there's going to be some advantages and disadvantages to it. I mean, we've come a long way in some ways, but compared to where we were like when we started out gaming back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, there's good things now, and there's things that were it's in some ways were better back then. So I guess for me, as long as I'm still able to purchase games and not have to sign up for a subscription service, just to play a game, unless it's like some niche case like World of Warcraft, for example.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I don't know. I'm worried about a future where you're going to be, to play the latest game, you have to play, you have to pay for a Game Pass and then your Xbox Live, and
I think it's more it's more of that. In order to play games that you want to play, you need to have every system. You need to have a PlayStation plus whatever, an Xbox plus a Nintendo in order to play like if the third parties don't exist, then like if you want to play Call of Duty, you'll have to have an Xbox. If you want to play, Horizon, you have to
I mean, I don't know. I disagree. I think it's kind of consolidating down to just one or two things, and I mean,
but that's what I mean is like but I don't
I think now more than ever you don't really need to have those other things because you can kind of get them from elsewhere. I mean, like I said, I don't mean to keep tooting PC's horn, but I mean, with a PC now, what am I missing out on with a PC that I don't really have?
It's weird, like, but you are kind of right. Like, I mean, mind you, Xbox's whole, ever since I think it was like 2016, 2017 when they made the Play Anywhere initiative, where day one, brand new Xbox games will be on, not only on Xbox but also on PC. And that's kind of where they're going for. They're very much like they've like quadrupled down on that. And that's what I don't, because like again, as I said, like I use the WWE as an example. Like there has been like for like almost 20 years, WWE was the only game in town. If you like wanted to wrestle and make good money and do it for a living, WWE was the place to be, regardless of how they used you, booking wise or other. Like that's what, and like it hasn't been until like 2019 when All Elite Wrestling came into play, and then like it's been even beforehand. Like there are now like recently there are now other wrestling companies where you can make a decent living wrestling for somewhere else that's not the WWE. But for the longest time, WWE has held a majority of the market share. They still do currently, but now they don't hold like 90% now. They hold like 80%. But that's kind of what I fear. Is that Xbox and PlayStation are now going to play this game of acquiring different studios as exclusive. So now you need, if you want to like, Bungie, like so today, literally today, on January 31st of 2022, PlayStation and Bungie announced that they are now, like, PlayStation now owns Bungie. They are not like independent. It's that they are owned by PlayStation. And as I mentioned before, so there's two different blog posts. There's one from Bungie.net, which from Bungie themselves, and also from the PlayStation blog, that they now have, like, they have been bought. They made a deal and they have been brought together. But some of the deals that they part of the deal, like the biggest part of the deal, is their creative freedom. So they put in like their shared vision of like Bungie and Destiny. So for Destiny 2 currently, they still want it to be multi-platform. So Destiny 2 will not become PlayStation exclusive. It will still be on PC. It will still be on Xbox. It'll still be on PlayStation. You do not have to worry. They are still self-published and creatively independent, meaning just because Sony owns them, they still have complete creative control over their IPs. And they still want the ability. They're not doing like timed exclusive, like PlayStation exclusive raids or weapons like they used to do for Destiny 1, and then even when Destiny 2 first started. They even have an FAQ about like how all this will happen. So everything that's coming out, including the Witch Queen, which is coming out on the 22nd of February, all of it is still multi-platform. It is just now Bungie has the power of PlayStation behind them. They have the PlayStation money behind them. So yeah, that's pretty much what we have here. So yeah, what do you think about that happening? Pretty much, I'm sorry, just one last thing is that the deal was for $3.6 billion. But yes, as you were saying, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, probably the same reaction I had to the Microsoft acquisition of Activision. I mean, really short term, I don't think this really means much of anything. I don't think we're going to see, Destiny become like an exclusive on PlayStation or anything like that.
Well, they
But
said
in
that
the yeah, yeah. So I don't think in the short term this really means much of anything. But I like I said, this is all part of this pattern of consolidation. We're moving towards a couple of companies that will run literally everything. I mean, we've always had the big three, with for the last 20 years or so we've had the big three. And even before that we had three big
yeah, it was
video
three
game
big video game makers, like
makers.
the console makers. Yeah, like
Yeah,
good.
we saw Sega bow out and Microsoft come in.
Yeah.
But now more than just being the console makers, and they're going to own literally every aspect of the process now. It's they'll own all the studios, they'll own everything really, and aside from indies, so I'm concerned. I'm concerned where this is going. I don't think it's something to be worried about in the short term. It's more so when we get to like 2035 or so, what is that going to look like? So that's my concern. Is like what are we going to see next year? Is it going to be EA purchased by something? Is Ubisoft going to be purchased? What's going to happen next year?
I mean, I personally hope not, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that does. But so I have seen online and just on Twitter or Reddit or whatever, some people are reacting that okay, so Activision got bought out by Xbox. In order to respond, within 2 weeks, PlayStation went to Bungie and just bought them outright. I highly doubt that PlayStation went, oh crap, yo, Bungie, here's a boatload of money. You're ours now. Like, I don't think that's the case. I honestly think this deal was already in the works a while ago, even before Xbox bought Activision. I don't think that it was one of those, like, quick thinking kind of things where it's like, oh, buy this studio now. Like, because it takes time. There has to be time and like, talks and stuff. Like, you can't just do it within 3 weeks.
There wasn't like okay, now we gotta
now we gotta buy a studio.
They saw the news and they said to scramble and buy the end. Obviously that didn't happen.
No, I like that would be stupid. Like, I know, like, in like one of the last things I wanted to bring up, like one of the things before this happened, like I had all the notes ready and made and everything. I was like, okay, so here's the thing. All right, last we'll talk about is what do you think PlayStation should do? And then this happens, and I'm like, oh well, here's your answer. This is their answer. They bought Bungie. Which is funny or ironic because Bungie was the Halo creators of Halo, which is now Xbox's own mascot, and now they went independent, or they went independent and then partnered with Activision, and then they went independent again, and now they're owned by PlayStation. Like that, I do find that a bit ironic.
Yeah, no, it is kind of a funny like irony. Though,
so in closing, what do you think PlayStation should kind of do to kind of maybe not respond, but like, what do you think that PlayStation needs to do in order to kind of deal with kind of how the shift in the game industry has happened? Because now, like, yes, for the next 2 years, Call of Duty will be a multi-platform, but that doesn't mean that like, you know, Crash Bandicoot could come back, Guitar Hero will be Xbox exclusive, Spyro the Dragon, so on and so on. Like, we're gonna see all these other games and stuff come back. Like, what do you think? What do you think should happen?
Yeah, I mean, from their perspective, I mean, they're probably of the mind that, I mean, things are kind of going okay. I mean, they like I said, they're really riding high off the success of the PlayStation 4. They have a lot of very successful IPs. I think while some may moan and groan about it, the strategy of diversifying their portfolio or I should say, bringing their portfolio of games over to PC, much like Microsoft did, is a good strategy. It's a way to increase revenue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're going to lose a significant portion of players as a result of it. I mean, kind of, I guess I'm an example sort of someone that was lost as a result of it to some degree, but I mean, I'm definitely in the minority. There's not many people like me that kind of turn their back on the console, to some degree because of this.
Yeah.
But in terms of what PlayStation needs to do, just keep doing what they're doing and ramp up production on PlayStation 5. And it looks like they have a pretty decent generation on their hands. I think Xbox is kind of pretty close on their heels in terms of console sales. But then again, like I said, it's not about console sales. I think it's about building a subscription service that is compelling. I think for Microsoft, they have a subscription service that people seem to resonate with. I don't personally resonate with it. I don't.
Well, you don't like subscription services, whether it's Netflix
in general, yeah,
anything. Dude, like I have for me, I have YouTube Premium or whatever. Mind you, I had it for freaking years. I got it for free for like I don't even remember. I think it was like for like 2-3+ years. I got the thing for free from like when they first made it, and I got it for free for like ever. And then they were like, "Oh, spend $10 a month," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't get ads and I can play it in the background while I do other stuff on my phone? Great, sure, here, take $10 from me. Go ahead." Like,
well, any good dealer will tell you that you give the first hit free.
Of course,
and then,
I get you. Like, and I get you. Like, oh, the free subscription, and like, look, and like there are things like for me, like I buy the year's worth of Plus every year, and I do have Game Pass and Gold, so that way I have full access to a bunch of stuff and things like that. So like for me, I like subscription services is the way that the just entertainment and how just not only in video games, like that's just how like look like like cable is dead now. It's the streaming war. It's Disney Plus, Hulu, Netflix, Peacock, Paramount Plus. Like Paramount Plus is going to be getting a Halo show. Disney Plus has the Marvel and Star Wars shows. Hulu has, all their stuff. Netflix has the originals and so on and so on and so on and so on. Like, now you're still spending the same amount on a cable bill, but now it's not cable, it's just streaming services. HBO Max, that we're like, there has been talks of, we didn't talk about it, but like a week or two ago, PlayStation removed PlayStation Now cards. They're disbanding PlayStation Now, and they're figuring out a way to use it differently, or they're going to fuse it into PlayStation Plus or something like that, creating a new Game Pass-esque variant of for PlayStation. But subscription services is the new business model. That's what it is. And I know you don't like that, and I mean, mind you, you're gonna try not to do it kicking and screaming, but I feel like there will come a time where you will just have to, Spectre. But I get it.
I'll have to what?
You'll have, no matter, there'll come a time where, because right now you're like, I will not buy subscriptions. No. But like, you may have to buy a subscription service kicking and screaming if they just go like, no, you have to.
No, that's when they'll lose me as a customer completely. I will in order for that to happen, they would have to I get I'm on PC, like I said, I get the bulk of my games for Steam. So the way they would have to do this would be they'd have to purchase Valve, which is a privately held company, which is currently held by a CEO that's not exactly all that warm to Microsoft, coming in and taking over them. But even let's say that all happened, and let's say that they forced all that, then I think you just would see a mass exodus from Steam, and people would just be, people would be sick of it. And I think subscription service would be the least of my worries for what they would do to Steam. I think they would sanitize it and remove a lot of the content on there and remove a lot of the users, myself included. So I wouldn't really have a home there. So at that point, then there's levels of survival we're prepared to accept.
To the Epic Games Store I go.
No, are you kidding me? No. I'd rather slice my nuts off than that. But yeah, no. We're not going to the Epic Games Store. Then we'd at that point we get really friendly with Linux and understand that a little bit better and switch over to that. And then we wear an eye patch and a hat, and yeah, I have a little I get a little parrot as well too, and
okay.
That's all the games we'll ever need.
Okay.
So we'll be just fine then.
Okay.
So
well, I will look. I do worry about the game, the because if we look at I mentioned the 33 studios that Xbox had. The list of studios that PlayStation has is Team Asobi, who has worked on Astro's Playroom, Bend Studios, which was Days Gone, Blue Point, which worked on Shadow Colossus Remastered and the Demon's Souls PS5 remaster. Now Bungie. Fire Sprite, which is working on the Horizon Call of the Mountain VR game. Guerrilla, who worked on Killzone, is making Horizon Forbidden West. Housemarque, who made Returnal. Insomniac, which has been making games for PlayStation for years. They were the guys who created Spyro, and now they're owned by PlayStation completely. Who are working on Marvel's Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank. London Studio, which was Blood and Truth and VR Worlds, and the next PS5, online game they're working on. Ooh, excuse me, got hiccups. Media Molecule, who has worked on Little Big Planet and Dreams. Naughty Dog, which is Uncharted and Last of Us. Nixes, which partnered with Crystal Dynamics on multiple games like Marvel's Avengers, Tomb Raider, and Deus Ex. Those have been the games that they were working on. I think that's how they were able to get some of the PlayStation exclusive stuff, especially with Marvel's Avengers. Pixel Plus, which worked on Concrete Genie. Polyphony Digital, which is the Gran Turismo studio. Studio San Diego, which is the MLB The Show studio. Sony Santa Monica, which is God of War and all the stuff they have made. Sucker Punch, which is Ghost of Tsushima and Infamous, and then XDev, which is Sony's developer arm that kind of talks to different. They are the guys who work on second party projects like Until Dawn, because that was made by Supermassive. Supermassive was never owned by Sony, but they made it exclusive through XDev, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's 18 studios versus the 33 that Xbox has had. Now, we have talked about how, PlayStation's whole thing, the reason why, including myself, love PlayStation are their exclusives. Uncharted, Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, Ratchet and Clank, Marvel Spider-Man, da-da-da-da-da-da. With these 33 studios, my God, the amount of exclusives that Xbox has is nuts. Starfield is going to be an exclusive. That has already been confirmed. I mean, who knows, the next stuff. Now they have Activision? Jesus. And Phil Spencer wants to bring back old games like Guitar Hero and other stuff. How crazy would it be if we get a new Spyro game, a new Crash Bandicoot, and it's only on Xbox? I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but I mean, who knows? It could.
Yeah. But yeah, so Bungie, my last words about this is that, again, PlayStation buying Bungie, it makes sense, because Bungie has been doing a lot of stuff with PlayStation, and it just feels like that it fits more with PlayStation with what they want to do. And it does give PlayStation a kind of first-person shooter that they have really desperately have needed to kind of be like their answer to Halo. Because like Killzone, that's what Killzone was created for. That was their answer to Halo. And they tried Resistance, and that didn't really work out. Killzone didn't really work out either. You know, like you had other studios, like they had SOCOM. SOCOM was a great first-person shooter back in the day. But then Halo took over everything, and then Call of Duty kind of became the boots on the ground army shooter thing. You know. So one, I don't believe that Bungie being acquired by PlayStation was a knee-jerk reaction to, oh my god, we need to buy a studio. But I do, this is needless expansion for expansion's sake. I don't like this. I'm not a fan. Like, Bethesda being acquired by Xbox, I was like, okay. It made sense because, like, you know, a lot of what Bethesda is made for works with Xbox better. You know, we saw what happened with Skyrim, and we saw, you know, that kind of stuff. But Activision, this is so out of the blue, and I don't know how. Like, I just feel like this is Xbox going, we need more studios to make games for us, and like this whole thing about they're competing. They're not competing against PlayStation. They want to compete against Netflix and Google and Facebook and all of that. Like we're now like in that. This is just everywhere. We're in a game of content. Like it's content creation war. How much content can you make? How much? Like it's not a, like I feel like quality may not be the kind of thing that now. It's about how much can you make. It's the amount, not the quality, and that's what I do worry about with Xbox. They have 33 studios. Great. Call of Duty hasn't been good for a while now. That's all that Activision has made, like, forever. Crash Bandicoot 4 is good. Who cares, though? Like, it made money. I'm not saying people don't care, but, like, it doesn't make the amount of money that Call of Duty does. That's why Activision has 4 different studios working on Call of Duty, including Warzone. Like, Beenox hasn't done anything. High Moon Studios hasn't done anything. Radical just works on Call of Duty. Raven works on Call of Duty. Sledgehammer works on Call of Duty. Toys for Bob has done is doing stuff for Warzone. Treyarch is working on a Call of Duty game. Vicarious Visions has been sucked into Blizzard, which is, I guess, they need them for Warcraft or something. Like everyone here is working on either on a Blizzard game or Call of Duty in the Activision studios, and it's stupid and it's nuts, and I don't like this, and I just do feel that we may be heading towards like not an actual monopoly, but like the power, the hold of power or whatever, you know, it's going to be within Xbox's hands. They're going to have the majority of, they're going to be the WWE of the video game industry. That's what I worry about, and I don't want that. I want competition. Yeah. Like, yes, I'm a PlayStation fan, but even if I was like, I love Xbox, and, you know, this is my system, and I love Halo, and I love Gears, even when it sucks, and da-da-da-da. Even if I was a hardcore Xbox fan, I would probably feel the same way, because you want competition. You want competition within the game industry. You want competition everywhere, so that way you can get good games. If we all get good games, we are happy, which if we're happy, we give more money, da-da-da-da. You know?
I agree.
Is there anything else you want to say?
No. I mean, we'll see where this all leads to.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that being said, thank you so much for staying through this and listening to all of this. It's a lot that we had to go through. But very much well worth it. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/brotherhoodgeeks. Like, comment, share, subscribe, tell everyone you know, tell everyone you don't know, all that kind of stuff. And if you haven't already, please press the bell icon down there. That way, whenever we put up a video, you know we put up a video. Also, press the like button, so that way we can play the YouTube game, and more people see all the stuff we make, all the liked stuff. Yeah, I'm good at words. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/thebrotherhoodofgeeks. You can also follow us on Twitter at Dualshock'd BOG. That's the name of this PlayStation podcast, Dualshock'd BOG. And then you can also follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/brotherhoodofgeeks. I do plan on doing some streams. I think we're going to be doing some Horizon Forbidden West, some Elden Ring, and maybe Spectre will have you play Hearthstone because you're bored.
For a while or something. I mean,
there you go. Hey, there you go. Maybe I'll throw up Master Duel. See how that goes. Maybe I'll stream Master Duel. Who knows? I know a lot of people are doing that right now. But regardless, you can go to twitch.tv/brotherhoodofgeeks to see what we're playing and all that kind of stuff. And then you can also follow us on Instagram, which is instagram.com/brotherhoodofgeeks. All the social media stuff. All the fun stuff. Whew. Alrighty then. Any last words, Spectre?
No, that's about it.
Alrighty then. Well then, with that being said, Guru Blaze was here earlier, but Guru Blaze has left, so Guru Blaze was with us, but I'm Brett J. Rasmussen.
Spectre.
And as always, live to play together. We'll see you guys next time.